Welcome to Pre-Ledge 2 press training. This is Mr. Goodwin once again. I'm going to walk you through the training for today. You'll find this training to be a little bit shorter than the Pre-Ledge 1, partly because you're going to be doing very similar things today that you did at Pre-Ledge 1. So I'll try to make this as brief as possible to get you guys out and researching your pieces. I'd like to start off with our goals for today. First is to discuss the role of the press. Just remember, no campaigning. Campaigning is a little fiercer at Pre-Ledge 2. So no buttons, no advocating for particular candidates. Your job is to remain unbiased. So if you have any type of paraphernalia on for a candidate, please remove this. Okay, and your two goals today are to research and write your second legislation story and to research and write an informal survey story. Now, I'm making a couple changes to what I told you in Pre-Ledge 1. Normally, I send back for corrections the non-candidate interview and then this legislation story that you guys sent me already. I just find it easier, rather than me to comment them and send them back and then you make the corrections I suggest, since I have everything electronically, just to go ahead and make the modern modifications myself. So you will not be getting anything back. You will just see your lovely work in print when the time comes. So after you submit the stories to me, they won't be coming back. They will just be filed with me, and as we put them on our website or in the paper, you'll see them as they unfold. So all you're doing is submitting, no more correcting. So if you think about it today, best thing or the thing you need to do is just get information to write two stories: a second legislation story and an informal survey story. If you have any questions during the pre-ledge, I would recommend talking to some of the reporters who've been in the press before. They can kind of lead you in the right direction. If you have to get in contact with me, an email would work. If you have a question after the fact, sending me an email would be great too, and I will get back to you with any questions that you may have. All right, what's happening today? All groups are going through trainings, including you. That's why you're listening to my voice right now. Legislators are continuing to perfect their bills for getting them ready to debate in Springfield. This is our last meeting prior to Springfield in March, so this is their last opportunity to debate these and get them ready to go. Elections are being held for officers today, and the winners from each of these pre-ledges will face off in March for the offices. So it's kind of a big deal. It's kind of like the primaries, if you want to call it that, for the elected officials. All right, this should look familiar to you from Pre-Ledge 1. First thing you need to do is find a new piece of legislation that interests you. You should have a bunch new legislation being offered this time around, since you're at a different school and different schools are attending. Please don't pick a piece of legislation from your school like last time, and additionally, don't pick the same legislation, okay, that you did for Pre-Ledge 1. Okay, so we're trying to get as much coverage as we possibly can. So make sure that as you pick the legislation, whoever was the person last time who determined made the list on who picked what, that should be the person once again who makes a list of who picks what, so we don't have any duplication. All right, so find your piece of legislation. All right, take a look at one or two bills that you find interesting. Notice the bill number. Remember how to find the bill. Okay, so you'll see where the bill number is. You'll see where it's being debated, and then you need to go back to committee and research the bill just like you did on Pre-Ledge 1. So get the bill brief, go to committee, get all the information. Remember the same people to talk to. Talk to the bill sponsors, talk to other people, see what they think of the bill, listen to the debate. If you have any confusion or refresher, there's the video beneath this one on writing the legislation story. Feel free to go back and rewatch that. Rewatch the training videos from Pre-Ledge 1 if you're confused how to do that. I do recommend maybe going with the buddy system if you would like to travel in packs of 2. That way you got somebody with you. Be sure that that's always a good way to go. So, second legislation story. All right, the informal survey story. So this is your second story that you're going to write. There's a sample to the left. There's a sample informal survey story that's on the training website that you can download and look at. An informal survey is a pretty easy story to write. It's where you take a concept or an idea and you survey people's opinions about them. That's all you do. Now, a lot of times students will write informal surveys about the legislation they're following. Just run around, ask everybody around that you could find, what do you think of this legislation? They'll tell you they like it, they don't like it, what they like about it, what they don't like about it. You're not limited to writing about legislation. Okay, you can write about anything essentially. What are the Illini's chances this year in basketball? Who's going to win the Super Bowl? I mean, you could do any type of informal survey, something that will be interesting and that people would like to read. You can do informal survey about the speeches that happen at the pre-ledge. Informal survey about what people are wearing. It's entirely up to you, but it's just a question that you're asking people to get opinions on the topics that you're asking. Okay, the structure of an informal survey, I'm not going to read all of this to you, but you start with a lead, and that is the consensus opinion. All right, do more people support it? Are more people opposed to it? And usually you start with a majority of people support this, or delegates are split, but your opening sentence is kind of a summary statement, kind of determining what is the take on the question that you ask. And then the rest of it is basically a bunch of quotes that state those opinions. So if you have a split opinion, your first part of your story after the lead may be the positive comments. Okay, the second part of your story may be the negative comments. Just like we did with the legislation story, you want the people to speak. So the 90% of the story is going to be quotations from the delegates. Now you will lead into those quotations like you did with the legislation story. You'll give a statement, um, such as I have here. Although many believe in the Bears' chances for a Super Bowl berth, others are not so sure. That's a lead-in statement to a bunch of quotes about people who don't think the Bears are going to get in the Super Bowl. Okay, so it's you're still going to have those paraphrase statements, but it's going to be much more quotes as you go through. So read over the slide. This slideshow once again is below without this audio. So take a look at it if you have any questions. Okay, things to remember just in general with the informal survey. Number one, get a good question. Whatever, the better the question, don't use a yes and no question. Ask a question that people can elaborate on. Interview a lot of people, at least 15. Get a good cross section of delegates, not pages, LAs, lobbyists, legislators, males, females, and get as many people as you can. Remember names spelled correctly, their job in the YMCA and their YMCA and high school. I finished their job in youth and government, I should have said. So those four things: name, job, what high school you belong to, and what Y is that associated with. And remember, youth and government is always abbreviated Y and G. Okay, never youth and government. All right. In summary, we're already near the end. Pick a piece of legislation different from the one from Pre-Ledge 1, one that's not from your school. Go to the committee, get the bill brief, write a good summary piece on what this legislation is asking for. Get it, ask the bill sponsors why they wrote it, what obstacles they anticipate in Springfield. Also listen in committee and write down what people are saying. Talk to other delegates, see what they think about the bill. Remember our three-part legislation story. The first part is your lead, where you state what the bill is about and who wrote it. Then you give a summary in a few sentences about the bill, why they wrote it, what they hope to do, and then you end with some response from other delegates about the bill. Number two, you want to do an informal survey story. Choose a good question. Get a lot of delegates' responses. Okay, do not choose a yes or no question. Or if you do, ask why or why not. Follow up. Okay, so you get some comments. You must leave today with the information to write a second legislation story, an informal survey story. Don't leave without that information. The biggest mistake students make with the informal survey is they only ask people from their own school, or they only ask a small collection of people. Get out there, talk to people. You got nothing better to do today. And what you need to email me is a copy of the second legislation story and a copy of your informal survey story, hopefully before January 15th. Also, take pictures. Phone pictures are fine. Email those to me. If you take pictures on a camera, you can email those pictures to me as well. But take a lot of photos, because that way we can put some artwork in our publication as well. All right, that's all I got for you guys. Hopefully you'll have a good time. Up north, down south this year, we have a lot of snow, so we're not going to have a full crowd at the pre-ledge at Williamsville. But my understanding is up north where you guys are, there's going to be a bunch. So have a good time, and I will see you guys in March.